Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a terrific show planned for you today. Don't forget to stay tuned for Warriors Talk with my girl, Rochelle, right after the Drive at 5. Yes, it's me again, and yes, it's going to be a rant. And I know some of you are sick and tired of it. However, I don't care. What happened over the weekend remind me of something. If you've been following the Drive at 5 for the past, I would say 7 or 8 years. I've been on the show for 14, with the intellectual family for 14 years. And we had Republicans on the Drive at 5. We were the very first show to call Donald Trump a dictator. We were the very first show to call him a demagogue. And you can go down the line, you can go on my other Facebook media page and just go down the line and see the shows that we had Republicans or people that believe Republican ideology on this show. And I told him to his face, to their face, do you believe that Donald Trump is a dictator? No, man, he's not a dictator. Do you think, and this was no other shows were willing to call him a dictator or a demagogue or an actual racist. Because here's the comeback. Well, he freed Kodak Black. Remember that the Ball brothers was in China and the dad refused to bow down and call Donald Trump. And all the black community was like, what's the matter with the phone call? What's the matter with it? Mr. Ball basically said, Donald Trump can kiss my you-know-what. There's a reason for this, folks. Some people see it before you see it. On the Drive at 5, years ago, we called him a flat-out dictator. We called him flat-out a demagogue. And there was a reason for that. It was because of policy that affected black people, nobody else. I call racist DeSantis in Florida the same thing because guess what? He's a racist. He attacks black policies, legislations. And it's time for us to, and I said this over and over on my rants, we got to stop fighting for other people and fight for us. I was on the internet and somebody was saying that, Donald Trump is not a racist. He did this for black people. He did that. And I'm like, that's a bunch of BS as I see it. And I have friends that are Republicans. You don't have to believe what I believe, but let's have a respectful debate about it. Freeing Kodak Black, Snoop Dogg cousin, is not social justice reform. It's not. And I am going to say this, and people will say what you mean. By commuting Larry Hoover's sentence, it's not justice reform. And there is a reason I'm saying that. Let's think about this, intellectual family. Let's think about this long and hard. Donald Trump is not stupid. He got some nuggets in there and advisors that advise him. He's like, well, I got to do something for the black community because we're going to cut Social Security. We're going to cut Medicaid. We got to have something to say to get blacks on our side. I'm going somewhere with this. Larry Hoover asked for a pardon the first 4 years he was in power as president. He didn't do it. And there was a reason he didn't do it. Because he could have did it almost 8 years ago. He could have did it. He could have done it. Let me tell you something. Pritzker was thinking about running for president. And to be honest with you, no matter, and I disagree with Pritzker, and he received some backlash from the Drive at 5 as well, because stacks and stacks of clemency pardons and stuff is currently on his desk, and he refused to put pen and paper or tell the people why. But you see Pritzker on MSNBC, you see him on Channel 2, Channel 5, you'll see him all on CNN. I mean, he's in Washington. Actually, I like how he presented himself in Washington. Kudos to him for sticking it to the Trump administration. However, you cannot talk because you and your policies have also oppressed black people. By you turning a blind eye on social justice reform and not even signing one piece of paper to say I am commuting or pardoning this person. This is how the Constitution works. You have two sets of laws. And follow me here. You have the federal, then you have the state. The president is over, excuse me, the president is over the federal. Excuse me. Oh no. Maybe some I'm saying some truth and somebody's getting me. And the governors are over the state's laws and policies. They're over that, okay? So, let's pretend we're all in the White House and Trump says, "How can I get in good gracious over the black people?" Well, one advisor could say, and I'm assuming this. One advisor said, "Remember Kanye West said we need to pardon Larry Hoover or commute his sentence? Hey, that's a great idea." Well, not as great. Let's think. If I commute his sentence, I will put Pritzker in a corner with the black people in case he runs for president. Because Hoover, just like Jeff Ford, is on federal charges and state charges. And guess what? Let's say, for example, he pardons him. He didn't pardon him. He commuted his sentence. Now, Pritzker is in the corner, and now what we're going to do? He knew it all along, people. He knew it all along. Trump is no dummy. He will say to the people, hey, I commuted his sentence. I did what you asked to. While Kanye West is doing the Running Man and the snake and all that stuff, saying, yeah, but we forgot. Guess what? We forgot he's up on state charges. Now, who's pumping his chest up now? Because a lot of people say if we put enough pressure, Pritzker is not going to do it. He's not. Because if he did, he would have did it all along. There are meetings, there were protests and so forth and so on regarding freeing Larry Hoover. However, he's not budging. You got to understand that Pritzker is thinking about his future. Do you really think those rich white investors is going to stand for a full clemency from Governor Pritzker and he's out of jail? A lot of people use this age. He's 70 something, 75, 76 years old. What can he do? That doesn't mean nothing. You got to understand the skin color, people. The skin. And I'm not saying this to be mean or anything. I'm just saying that people need to understand the dynamics in the Constitution, which we said on the Drive at 5 over and over, the 14th and the 15th Amendment. And guess what? That has become our reality. That involves our civil rights. He's going to get out anyway. That's what somebody was saying. We're trying to, and the answer is, of the 2 terms that Pritzker has, he's the 2 terms. Have anyone pressured him on social justice reform? The answer is hell no. They have not. You probably thought the alderman will go back to Pritzker and tell him about social justice reform. No, the alderman has not. There's not one single letter from any alderman or any elected officials in Illinois talking about the pals and pals and pals of potential clemencies and pardons requests that's currently on his desk. And do you think he's going to stop everything from being the good man, goody goody on MSNBC, CBS, CNN, ABC, NBC? He refused to come on podcasts because there's no direction. You can ask anything on a podcast, and guess what? It's not even edited. But he will definitely in a heartbeat go on CNN and MSNBC. We got to realize that Trump is playing chess, not checkers. He's playing chess. And he has these advisors. And you look up these advisors, trust me, they don't give a damn about a black person. And all the people that say we're going to flip Chicago red, I advise you to go back on Saturday and you'll see the numbers of people saying we're not going down for that again. Yes, I was very angry at Mayor Johnson about the way he has done the immigration. And I said, brother, and pleading with him, send them back. The word got out that you spent over $200+ million. And still there's not a final tally on it. They're still counting it up. The city of Chicago, almost $1 billion. We're in the red. They balanced the Illinois budget. But what about the city of Chicago? Nobody don't want to answer to that. And I didn't say send them back to be harsh. I looked the stuff that they did, looked it up. The same situation happened in Minnesota, Colorado. The list goes on and on. Governor Hot Wheels in Texas, Abbott, knew what the hell he was doing. So did racist DeSantis. Knew what the hell he was doing. But no, we had Lori Leftfoot that basically said, we're a sanctuary city. And guess what? They said, okay, since you're a sanctuary city, we'll send them to you and see how it feels. You did not have no backup plan, no policies in place, nothing. Why in the hell are you paying 6 figures of advisors that advising you wrong? 6 figures, full benefits, turning this city into Detroit. And guess what? Guess what? I said this on the show. We're a stone throw away from Detroit. No major corporations wants to deal with that. It's like a desert in downtown Chicago. People don't want to pay that type of money for condos and see a beautiful skyline. And guess what? In fear, they're getting robbed, carjacked. I said this behind the scenes. Picking that police superintendent was a bad idea. If you look at the doggone numbers in Inglewood, it's a bad idea. And guess what? It's a bad idea. People would say, well, Roman, the crime is down. The crime is down. Shootings are down. No, they're not. And people got to understand this is month 6. We got 6 more months to go. And if I was the mayor, I would have put all hands on deck. You have several these teenagers, and I said this again. You have several teenagers that can put a text out and send it to thousands of teenagers to go downtown and do X, Y, and Z. WGN did an investigation report on the teen takeover. And guess what? We spend billions and billions of dollars on people to serve and protect us, the Chicago Police Department. And they will sit here and tell you, we don't have the technology to intercept that. We do not have the technology to crack or see what we can do to get the perpetrators who's sending these texts out. And guess what I'm going to say? That's BS. You know why I'm going to say BS? Because if you can track down every single camera from Jason Smollett, you damn well for sure you can crack that case of who's sending out these text messages to teens, have them to fight downtown, get assaulted, some of them sexual assault, and then people saying, where's the parents? The mayor refused to do curfew for some odd reason because he thinks it doesn't work. And I'm saying, you know what? You don't give people enough to go on. It's time for parents to be a damn parent. You open your legs, you insert. You had a good time making that baby. It's not our responsibility. Some of them are ward of the state. All the money we are giving to not-for-profit organizations that say, I know how to stop crime. I know how to stop a shooting. And they come on the show and say, we know how to stop crime. And I correct them very easily. You cannot stop shootings. You cannot stop crime. Because you know why? Because if you can stop crime, you will be a trillionaire. People from other states and countries will get your idea. You can curb it. You cannot stop it. That's the difference. You cannot stop a shooting. You can curb it. There's a lot that's going on in our community, and it's really pissing me off that we need to recognize that what the Trump administration is doing is heavily dividing the Black community. And that's when you see something that's dividing us, we need to come closer and closer and closer to unite. I am happy that we got Unity Day back. I am so happy we got organizations that are doing the work, but they need money. And I'm going to talk about this doggone not-for-profit organizations that's receiving money from the city and that's not doing absolutely nothing. And you have brothers that was here last week that's doing something in the community. Instead of terrorizing it, they realize what they have done. They made their mistakes. They're willing to apologize. But now we got to worry about money. There are people that's spending their own money to make a difference. And you have Trump and his friends that's profiting off of Black people's death. You have people that's out there. And let me rephrase this. It's not just the Trump administration. It's also Democratic too. That's profiting off of people's death. We need to put a stop on it. But let me put it this way. A lot of people say, well, then what the hell Biden did for the Black people? I only can name you a few. And the reason why I'm going to name you a few, because there is a laundry list what he has done. Number one, he has put more than 100 Black federal judges in power before he left the administration. And it's probably more than that when he left. Black men, and black females. Federal judges. Number 2, he has granted clemency over 2,000 people on the disparities of marijuana. That's 2. Number 3, he put a stop on the commercialization of jails, meaning that no corporation can can own a jail cell. If you can dispute me on that, you know what? Let's have a conversation on it, because I'm going to ask you to Google it, because he put a stop to it. Let's talk about and discuss the Biden administration saying they will, meaning former Vice President Kamala Harris said she will legalize marijuana. But you know what? The news media did not report that. But she said it over 100 times. And it's on her website. But you're saying that this Agent Orange nitwit in the White House that spent close to $45 million that we could use off of Social Security, Medicaid, and SNAP benefits, that he said, like a big kid, I want a parade to salute to the troops. And guess what the troops did? The troops basically said, in silent protest, marched out of order. That's a form of disrespect. Look it up. You look at how the Koreans march during their parade and how we march. It wasn't in unison. If anybody that's a veteran will tell you, if we don't march in unison, that's a protest against the commander. Anybody can tell you that. Well, some people can tell you that. And then a lot of people say, oh, it was hundreds of thousands of people up there. Man, it was barely 1,000 people that showed up. Matter of fact, I'll give you a number. I even probably say 2,000. Barely 2,000 people showed up to that. It was a waste of money that could have been given to your grandma, your grandpa on Social Security. The money could have been fueling Medicaid. That money could have helped the colleges and universities, the historically black colleges and universities. But guess what? He's thinking about himself. We have some selfish ass people that are in leadership. That goes from the state of Illinois as well. And it burns me up every single time. There's an excuse every single time for something like this. And somebody's going to sit in a chair and explain to me how they're going to flip Chicago red. Good luck with that now. Good luck with that when there was over 50,000 people downtown. And they're still counting. Tell that to New York that had 200,000 people. Tell that to Pennsylvania. There were people that was protesting in Oak Park. And that was 250 plus. They're protesting in suburbs and heavily Trump areas in Illinois, saying this is not right. Insulin for type 2 diabetes is going up. And people are going to die if they don't have that insulin. People like Amanda Lewis, MTV VJ, passed away. And she said something that she refused treatment because she waited too late to get checked. She wanted to do a holistic type of situation. But when you talk organic and holistic, it takes time for your body to adjust to natural things because we put so much artificial stuff in our body. And we discussed that. We discussed how they're putting artificial flavors in cereal and too much sugar in cereals, and people eat it. Processed foods at school lunches. Parents giving Kataki, whatever in the hell that potato chip is. Here, son, eat this. And they're running around the damn school. We need to change the dynamics. The dynamics are very important. This man in the White House is not for us, and he will never be. If it's a choice between him and us, trust me, he's going to choose himself anytime, any day, whatever. But I also letting you know, he doesn't give a damn about the Constitution. He doesn't give a damn about you and I. But I do. I do. I sit here and I try to say that people are, there are times and you know what? I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it now. The views that are expressed on Intellectual Radio is not the views of Intellectual Radio or iHeart. It's not the views. Those are my views. The Drive at 5 views. And with that covered, I know we have a lazy ass AG. I said over and over, he needs to put pen to paper and fight. And I said, I would love to have Lisa Madigan. Forget what the damn father have done. Yes, he built millions of dollars. But Delhi did the same damn thing. Vodoliak did the same damn thing. They're out free. What? Ed Burke. Hell, I can go down the line. I would say, Lisa Madigan, come back. You got a lot of work to do. I would have never in my entire life, and I will say this, if I would have known Kwame Raoul, I didn't even, you know, he I didn't even vote for him last time. I protest and wrote my own damn name. But if Lisa Madigan comes back, hell and hot water will not stop me from putting her back in office. Because I know for a fact she will not allow this to happen. It's time for us to stop having yes people in leadership. And I hate to say this, you're a first native Haitian in public office, and your people are in trouble, and you have the power to do something, and you didn't do nothing. And how dare you sit there with a damn grin on your face, like you have done and accomplished something after the fact. After the fact, which this show has said over and over and over again what you needed to do. Do you really think the mayor of Chicago, with his 3 to 4% approval rating, is somebody you're going to follow advice from? Take advice from? Oh, hell no, if it wasn't for me. I wouldn't even take advice from him on a playground. I just wouldn't. The mayor is way over his head and he knows it. It's a very stressful job. And you got to have people in office that are policy oriented, legislation oriented. You need those type of people in office, because guess what? Guess what's going to happen? Our civil rights is going down the tubes. And I'm going to tell you this story because, yes, it is a rant. I'm going to tell you this story, and I'm going to tell you the reason why we're in this mess. People are familiar with, and I told this story before, but I'm going to refresh your memory, intellectual family, about this. Remember the George Floyd situation, Trayvon Martin situation, and we have Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. 2 Black lesbians. I'm just telling you the facts. I'm not being mean, not being chauvinistic. That's their sexuality. 2 Black lesbians decided to go to Congress and basically said these words, and I want you to look this up. Said this to Congress: gay rights are civil rights. Al Sharpton basically said, "You a damn lie." They kept saying gay rights are civil rights. They kept saying it. And they got so much backlash from civil rights icons. Even Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s son got involved in saying, "How dare you put a stain on that?" They were laughed out of Washington. Then Trayvon Martin happened. Hearts were heavy. Barack Obama said that if he had a son, it would be like Trayvon Martin. Look it up. And that's when they came back with a slogan that no one could disagree: Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. They made millions, millions, and millions and millions of damn dollars. And they have never. They said they're fighting for social justice. When there's a black cause, you'll see that rainbow flag. Look it up. You've seen it throughout George Floyd. They were all over the news. They were getting millions and millions of hundreds of thousands of dollars, to the point that she bought a damn $1 million mansion in California some damn where. Acres. They're living high on the hog. And guess what? Because they use that propaganda. Excuse me. Excuse me. Because they use that propaganda. And I'm sorry for doing that. I'm just sorry. My throat has been dry, humidity, whatever. I think once they got their money, they're gone. You can't find these sisters no more. They're off some damn where. And they talked about social justice reform. And they did not fund not one single damn case. They never sent an attorney. They never sent money to help with food, finances, while legal bills to these families that was wronged. And they were under federal investigation, and they still are. But Black Lives Matter. Huey Newton, Fred Hampton Sr. had this philosophy: only us can defeat us, and only us can protect us. When you have sisters like that, it makes you go off. It makes you sit there and say, you're the one that drives us in a poorhouse. We can't get nothing. Now, every Black organization has to go through all this scrutiny to get money to help their community, and that's sad. There are times that you talk to legislators and they said they know, do something about it. That's why I had to do something about it, because I felt that our rights were being diminished. I'm currently doing my dissertation. Hopefully I'll get finished soon. I've been trying. I've been trying. And I'm just going to tell you, when I've seen brothers that's trying and sisters that are trying to get their lives together, they know they was out there wrong. They know. But now God always say you got to give them a chance to get them right, and he always allow with grace and will to get it right. And if you don't get it right, you have to face his consequences. I mentioned this movie, and I will say it again, called Civil War. Please, and I'm begging you to watch it, because that's what's going on right now. Currently, before I step foot in this studio, there were the National Guards talking about defying President. I'm sorry for calling him president, but defying orders from Trump in regards to ISIS. ISIS has gotten out of control. However, we put ourselves in that situation. And I'm not saying blacks, I'm talking about the black leaders who's in office. You put us here. You put us here. My tax dollars, whatever tax dollars I pay, I don't care. If I shop, I pay taxes. You're going to up taxes again. You driving people away, my man. I will say this, though. We got to learn what is our fight and let them fight it out. I've seen black faces and black organizations in those marches, and I shake my head because they wasn't there for us. And I know about tick for tat, but I will say this. Now you're talking about unity, Mexican United. But where in the hell were you when Haitians and Africans? Donald Trump is trying to steal currently natural resources from Africa because they found a new mineral. Oh, he wants part of that now. Come on. He's not for us. And I'll leave you with this. On June 1st, 2025, I talked a little bit about it. Now I can talk extensively about it. My resolution has passed and been adopted. And it is called Black Diaspora Freedom Day. What it entails is when I was doing my research, Illinois never recognized January 1st as the official day of the end of slavery. A lot of people think and get confused because of June 19th, but you have to understand what is documented. Not saying June 19th is not documented. It is. But that's after the fact that former President Abraham Lincoln signed into law the Emancipation Proclamation, and actually he said it on September 16, 1862, that January 1st, 1863, enslaved people henceforth and forever moving forward, and I'm paraphrasing, will be free. June 1st, 2025, my resolution, which is an ongoing resolution, has been adopted, has been passed by the Senate. I want to thank Kimberly Lightford for championing that. I want to thank her. I want to thank her on the show. And once I get the actual show Wanda and Earl and all of that, it's very important because our rights are being taken over. And for a state to recognize SR 0035, to not only recognize that January 1st was the end of slavery and it will be called the Black Diaspora Freedom Day, but also we get a chance to bridge the gap between blacks and the diaspora community that was also enslaved and helped build this country. I want you guys to Google this because now it's on Google. You can Google it. And the press release will be out, hopefully, as soon as it gets approved. And I will send it and I will post it on the media, in the media, because I think when we have a conversation regarding Juneteenth, we also need to have a conversation on January 1st when it first happened. You got to remember the cavalry was on horseback. The very first time we found out, slaves were in the church worshiping on December 31st. And they received the news, and this is documented, at midnight, January 1st, that they were free. The men rushed out to their cabins, gathered their rifles, and was shooting in the air. See how generational that is? That we still do the same thing that our ancestors did. We still worship in church when it struck midnight. That's when the news gathered. I'm going to leave you on that note because there is a better tomorrow out there. But we also got to remember all the fights are not our fights. Thanks to Wanda, our executive producer, Earl behind the scenes. You guys have a wonderful week.